Board members, you are streaming.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Education Finance Committee meeting. I would like to call the meeting to order. Dr. Albright, may I have a roll call, please?
Janelle Astorga. Ronaldo Tomorito.
Here.
Heather Benavides.
I'm here. Good morning.
Courtney Jackson. Crystal Tapia Romero.
Here, thank you. So our first item is to consider adoption of the September 25th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I move that we adopt the September 25th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting agenda. This is Board Member Benavides.
I second Board Member Tomorito.
Thank you. Dr. Albright, may I have a roll call?
Janelle Astorga. Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes. Our next item is to consider approval of the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting on August 27th, 2024. May I have a motion?
I move that we consider approval of the minutes from the Finance meeting on August 27th, 2024. This is Board Member Benavides.
I second Board Member Tomorito.
Thank you. Dr. Albright, may I have a roll call?
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Janelle Astorga.
Here.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes. Thank you. Our next item is an update on the district's investment program for fourth quarter of FY 2024. Our presenters here are Ms. Apodaca and Mr. Turnbull. You have the floor.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Blakey. Again, this is an update for the district's fourth quarter fiscal year 2024 investment program. With that, I provided an investment summary. The portfolio is primarily invested in the district's money market fund. The yield decreased to 4.77% from the prior quarter that's actually a typo, 5.03% from the prior quarter. Interest earnings this quarter were approximately 6.5 million compared to 6.3 million last quarter. And the breakdown of the assets, 43% in the Invesco money market, 18% in treasury and agency bonds, 20% in the local government investment pool, and 19% in bank deposits. Current money market funds are at approximately 343 million compared to 270 last quarter. The LG local government investment pool remain the same at 161 million from last quarter. Treasury investments decreased from 246 million to 151 million this quarter. Our investment advisors also provided some additional information. So with that, I stand for questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Turnbull. Members of the committee, do we have any questions related to this?
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you all for answering the questions I submitted ahead of time.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I see none. So we will go ahead and continue. Thank you, Mr. Turnbull. So our next item to consider is to consider approval of grant budget adjustments for the following funds. So bear with me here. Number one, this is for 25153-440 for Title IX Medicaid 2024-2025 in the amount of $13,749,604. The second one is for the Ed Fellows Region 9 Cooperative Education Cooperative for 24-25. Structured Literacy and Early Literacy for 24-25. Number 4, the New Mexico Grown Fresh Fruits and Vegetables for 24-25. The fifth being to approve adolescent health and well-being through school-based surveillance. This is for 24-25. The sixth of Law Enforcement Protection Fund for 24-25. The seventh for Albuquerque International High School for 24-25. Eighth of Homeless McKinney-Vento for the year 24-25. Ninth, the Secondary Disciplinary Literacy for 24-25. The 10th of APS Homeless Project for Educational Initiative for the year 24-25. And the final one, number 11, for Stronger Connections Grant for year 24-25. Our presenter for this is Ms. Apodaca, our Chief Financial Officer, and Ms. Montoya. You have the floor, ladies.
Okay, thank you so much. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Superintendent Blakey. So in your packet for this item, you will find the action memo, also a summary spreadsheet with all grant adjustments and the detailed backup. In the spreadsheet, it does have the description, funding source, the type of adjustment, the approved budget, increase or decrease, and the adjusting budget. And me and Ms. Mihaela are here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Apodaca. Thank you, Ms. Marin, for being here as well. Members of the committee, do we have any questions related to these items? Thank you. I see none, so we will go ahead and continue. Thank you, Ms. Apodaca. Our next item is to consider approval of the August 2024 interfunction transfers from grant budget. And Ms. Apodaca, back to you.
Yes. This agenda item requests your approval of interfunction budget transfers, and we stand for questions.
Thank you. Members of the committee, do we have any questions? I see none. Thank you, Ms. Apodaca. Let's continue. Our next item is to consider approval of the August 2024 intra-function transfers for grant budget. And Ms. Apodaca, back to you.
Yes, this agenda requests your approval, and again, we stand for questions.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions?
No.
Thank you. We will continue. Our next item is to consider approval of the August 2024 interfunction transfers for all non-categorical funds. And Ms. Apodaca, it's yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, we are asking for these approvals. These are part of our requirements by PED. So we stand for questions.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions on this? Okay. I see none, so we will continue. Our next item is to consider approval of the August 2024 intra-function transfers for all non-categorical funds. And Ms. Apodaca, it's yours.
Yes, thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Superintendent Blakey. Again, we stand for any questions for these approvals.
Thank you. Members of the committee, questions? No. Thank you. I see none, so we will continue. Our next item is to consider approval of a budget alignment to the operational fund in the amount of $16,540,076.40. And Ms. Apodaca, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. This agenda item requests your approval of a budget increase of $16.5 million to our current SCG revenue resulting from PED's unit value increase. In your packet, you will see the action item that describes this increase. Also, we have the adjustment from PED as the support for the action memo.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions?
No.
Okay, I will continue. Our next item is to consider approval of a budget adjustment to the Universal Free Meals Fund in the amount of $7,357,389. Our presenter for this is Mr. Gabe Jacques, sorry, our Deputy Superintendent of Operations, and Ms. I'll probably leave it there because thank you. You have the floor.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Superintendent Blakey. This agenda item requests your approval of a budget increase of $7.4 million to the Universal Free Meals Fund, resulting from PED's estimated projections for this school year of 24-25 allocations.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions on items 5.7?
No.
Okay. Thank you. We will continue. Our next item is to consider the approval of gifts, grants, and donations for more than $5,000. Today, we have two of them. Our first is a donation of $5,000 to Valley High School from TH Productions. And the second is a donation of $25,000 to Valley High School from JD Reynolds. And our presenter for this is Ms. Apodaca.
I will defer to Mr. Turnbull for this.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, again, this is a item to accept two donations for Valley High School. With that, I stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Turnbull. Members of the committee, any questions on the donations? Okay.
No.
I see none, so we will continue. Thank you. Our next item is to consider approval of the qualification-based proposal in the amount of $24,820,054. This is submitted by Thompson Construction. This is for Harrison Middle School campus, the rebuild of Phase 1, and granting signatory authority for all necessary easements for infrastructure to the board president and secretary. So I will turn it back over to you.
Good morning, Madam President. This is Gabe Hawkes, members of the committee and Superintendent Blakely. We stand before you to ask for approval on our $24,820 and $854 request to begin Phase 1 of Harrison Middle School. This will include spaces for a kitchen, cafeteria, performance, auxiliary gym, fine arts makerspace, orchestra area, and then the signing authority as we move through to get those easements completed. In your packet, you have a breakdown of the project as well as of the procurement process we went through to select Thompson for this project. With that, Madam Chair, I stand for any questions you all may have.
Thank you. And I believe this is in Board Member Astorga's district, which is super exciting. So any questions, members, for this particular item?
No.
Okay. I see none. Thank you, sir. We will go ahead and continue. Our next item is to consider acceptance of Environmental Protection Agency, which is an EPA award for funding of $6.9 million toward the purchase of 2071 passenger electric buses. And I will turn it back over to you, sir, and Mr. Binns as well.
Before you today, Madam President, members of the committee, and Superintendent Dr. Blakey, for your consideration for the acceptance of the Environmental Protection Agency award of the funding of $6,900,000 towards the purchase of 2171 passenger electric buses, and I stand for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Members of the committee, do we have any questions on this item? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Binns. We'll continue to our next item on that as well, where we will consider approval of the district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds $500,000. This is for 20 electric passenger buses. And sir, I'll turn it back over to you.
Madam President, members of the committee, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, for consideration and approval of the district purchase of expenditures equal to $500,000 for the 20 electric passenger school buses. The last item was for the $6.9 million from the EPA. It didn't fully fund the buses because the actual amount for the buses is $7,881,482. And the remaining amount for the 20 buses, the difference of $881,483 will be funded by the Public Education Department so that the electric buses themselves are fully funded.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Binns. That's great. Any questions from the committee? Great. I see none, so we will go ahead and continue. Our next item, I just lost track. Give me a moment. Here we go. Is to consider approval of district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds $500,000 for 7 passenger buses. Yes, and Mr. Binns, back to you.
Madam President, members of the committee, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, consideration and approval for the district purchase expenditures that equal or exceed 500,000 for 7 passenger buses. This is for 4 71 passenger buses and 3 48 passenger wheelchair lift buses. And these are diesel buses, and they're replacements for current equipment that also does not have AC on them. So these will have AC.
Yay. Thank you. I was like, shout that one so everybody knows. Thank you so much. Members of the committee, any questions on this item? I see none. Thank you, Mr. Benz. We will
Thank
go
you.
ahead and continue. Our next item is to consider approval of district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds 500,000 for independent building commissioning. And Mr. Hawkes, I believe you're the presenter on this one.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, and Superintendent Blakey. We stand before you to consider our approval for this. Where our estimated cost for this will be about $2 million over the next 4 years. And what this is it's an independent contractor that works with us as we bring in new systems through construction such as HVAC. These individuals that are in the packet will come in and they will test the systems to make sure they're running. They'll make sure they're running correctly with our controls, and then they'll also be responsible for doing the training and working on warranty work with the district to ensure everything's up to manufacturer specifications. So with that, Madam Chair, I stand for any questions you all may have.
Thank you so much. Members of the committee, any questions? Okay, I see none. We will go ahead and continue. So our next item is to consider approval of district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds 500,000. This is for vehicles. And am I pronouncing your name correctly before I say this?
Hawkes. It's
Hawkes.
Hawkes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
But that's perfect. Yes, ma'am.
Over to you, sir.
All righty. I believe Ms. Ginsler is going to present this for us.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Blakey, I'm requesting your consideration for approval of the purchase of vehicles for APS, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions on this? Okay, I see none. We will go ahead and continue. Our next item is to consider approval of district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds 500,000. This one is now for janitorial supplies and equipment. And Ms. Gensler, back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Blakey. I'm requesting your consideration for approval of the purchase of janitorial supplies. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, committee members? Okay. We will continue on to 5.16 is to consider now approval of district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds 500,000. This is for material and geotechnical testing. And Ms. Gensler, this is yours as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm requesting consideration and approval for the purchase of material and geotechnical testing, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Members of the committee, do we have any questions? Great. I see none, so we will continue to the next item. And this is to consider approval of district purchase or expenditures that equals or exceeds $500,000. This is for student alternative transportation. And Ms. Gensler, the floor is yours.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. I'm requesting consideration and approval for the purchase of student alternative transportation, and happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you. Members of the committee, do we have any questions? Okay. I see none. We will continue on. This will be to consider approval of district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds 500,000. This is for payroll fiscal services for student internship. And our presenter for this is Dr. Gonzalez. I believe, or is it Ms. Gensler? I have both.
I believe I am supposed to be presenting the item, but Dr. Gonzalez, of course, is part of the team on this.
Okay,
So
great.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm requesting consideration for approval for the purchase of payroll fiscal services for the student internship program. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Dr. Gonzalez, we just wanted to see your shining face this morning. Thank you. Members of the committee, do we have any questions? I see none. Thank you. So we will go ahead and continue. Our next item is to consider approval of the August 2024 cash disbursements. And for this, I have Ms. Apodaca, Or is it Ms. Gensler? Ms. Gensler, it's you. I knew that.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I'm requesting your consideration for approval of the August 2024 cash disbursements, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions? Okay, I see none, so we will go ahead and continue. So bear with me as I read our final approval. So our next item is to consider recommending consent agenda board approval items discussed during the September 25th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting agenda, which this includes grant budget adjustments, August 2024 grant and budget inter and intra-function transfers, the operational budget adjustments for increase of SEG and healthy universal school meals, gifts, grants, and donations, qualification-based proposal and signature authority for easements at Harrison Middle School, transportation acceptance of Environmental Protection Agency award, the district purchases or expenditures that equal or exceed $500,000, and these items are for 20 electric passenger buses, 7 passenger buses, Independent Building Commission, the purchase of maintenance and operation vehicles, janitorial supplies, material and geotechnical testing, alternative student transportation, increase in payroll fiscal services, and finally, the August 2024 cash disbursements. I'll ask for a motion for the items listed above.
I move that we consider recommending consent agenda board approval of items discussed during the September 25th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting, including grant budget adjustments, August 2024 grant and budget inter and intra-function transfers, operational budget adjustments for increase in SEG and healthy universal school meals, gifts, grants, and donations, qualification-based proposal and signature authority for easements at Harrison Middle School, transportation acceptance of Environmental Protection Agency award, district purchases or expenditures that equal or exceed $500,000, including 20 electric passenger buses, 7 passenger buses, Independent Building Commission, purchase of maintenance and operation vehicles, janitorial supplies, material and geotechnical testing, alternative student transportation, increase in payroll fiscal services, and finally, the August 2024 cash disbursements. This is Board Member Benavides.
Fantastic. Thank you. I have a second.
I will second. This is Board Member Astorga.
Thank you so much. Dr. Albright, may I have a roll call?
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito,
Yes.
Heather Benavides,
Yes.
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes, thank you. So our next Finance Committee meeting will be on October 23rd, 2024 it says 5, but it's not 5, it's at 8 a.m. Virtually, or you could also watch the APS Board of Education YouTube channel. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.